Good afternoon. This is Alexa Sterling with Sterling Possibilities, and I'm here with Josh, and I'm going to let him introduce himself. Hi, Josh.
Hey, how you doing? I'm Time Out with Josh. I'm that guy. I'm on TikTok and Instagram as Time Out with Josh. I'm a life coach, mostly relationship coaching, and self healing kind of coaching. That's me. I'm just that guy. I'm just a normal guy.
Ah, that's awesome. I don't think you're that normal.
That's what my mom used to
I
say.
think that you're quite human, is what I is, and I think you're a very nice gentleman. So I'm going to
Oh,
ask you
thank
some
you.
questions.
Sure.
Unfortunately, glasses have to go on.
No worries.
What do you do for self-care? Why, when, and how frequent?
Self care. It's there's no magical wand for self care. Everybody's got their own. I do a lot of gaming. I am a gamer. So as far as taking my mind off of things, that's the way I get my mind off of things. As far as like meditation goes, I do a lot of meditation. So I purpose to do box breathing. If you're familiar with box
Mhm.
breathing, it's 5, 5, 5, 5, 5. And then, in high stress situations, because I do have a pretty stressful job outside of coaching. Um, I'll do the three breaths. So when I say box breathing, what I do is when I breathe in, I think about three colors or two colors rather. Um, for me, it's blue and black. Blue is a color of good and peace and calm and happiness and just refreshing. Black is the color that I equate with negativity, anger, bitterness, those negative thoughts. So when I breathe in for 5 seconds, I breathe in blue. I just think about blue. And the reason for that is because it simplifies my mind process. For me, my mind has a tendency to run a lot. Um, uh, Adult ADHD. So it just runs and runs and runs. So for me, just thinking about the color itself, close my eyes, breathe in for 5 seconds. And when I go for the rise in the box, then it's breathing out the black. So it's breathing in the blue, breathing
Mhm.
out the black, and then breathing in the blue, and then breathing out the black again. That's what I do in the high stress situations when I'm in the moment and I can take, 10, 15 seconds to do it. When I'm sitting here at home, I purpose to think about positive things when I'm breathing in. I am smart, I'm intelligent, I'm responsible, I'm kind, I'm generous, I'm loving, I'm things like that. And then breathing out, I'm breathing out the stress, breathing out the anger, breathing out frustration, breathing out anxiety, breathing out depression, things like that, and then just continue around. So that's one of the things I do. I try to set myself up for that by at home by literally sitting in the floor, lighting candles, and just putting myself in a space that's just quiet and calm and serene. Um, Turning myself off, turning my toes off, my feet off, my legs off, my arms off, and just letting everything relax and everything go. I try to do that a couple of times a week, usually 4 or 5 times a week. I do that, and then as it's needed, in those stressful situations, just literally stepping aside for a second and just saying, you know what, I'm going to recenter myself and then come back to it. Those are the two major things that I do that are active. Other than that, going on walks, fishing, taking that time, just quiet, calm time. Those are big self care things for me.
That's awesome. Thank you. We're going to
Yeah.
ask another question.
Okay.
I'm getting personal today. Just kidding.
Let's go.
So we already know what your go-to is, right? Which
Yeah.
is pretty much what you just said. So
Yeah.
you already answered that question for me. Thank you.
Yeah.
Did you read my notes? No, I'm just kidding.
No.
How does it make you feel and why?
The biggest thing is it brings peace. I don't make any bones about what I believe. And my religious belief, I am a Christian. I make no bones about that. And there's a statement in the Bible that says there's peace that passes all understanding.
Mhm.
It's kind of like when you fall in love with someone and you try to tell someone else what it's like, or if you're a female and you had a baby and you're trying to tell somebody who hasn't had a baby what it's like. You can't grasp it if you haven't had a child. You can't grasp the pain, the joy, the happiness, the discomfort. You can't. There's no way to verbalize it, and that's the piece that I'm looking for. Is that just I don't understand why I'm here, but I'm here, and that's okay. It surpasses my mindset, and when you find that, you're finding clarity. You're finding, simplification of thoughts, organization of your thoughts, things like that, and for me, that's something I have to very, very, very diligently focus on because my thoughts have a tendency to run. So that's the biggest reason I do it, because I need that. I spent a lot of my life, approximately 35 plus years of my life, running around in my thoughts and not finding that peace and fighting myself, honestly, because then you end up worn out. And I don't need to be worn out. I don't have enough energy for that anymore. 21 years old, you can be worn out. You go to bed, you wake up the next morning, you're fine. Nowadays, not so much.
Yeah, I get that. We'll just say it's technology. We'll go with that one.
Yeah, we'll go with that.
We'll go with that one.
Yeah, for sure.
So, the next question is, how does it make you feel and why?
Oh God.
You know
yeah, that's such a hard, again, it's kind of the hard to understand type of thing because everybody's piece is different. Some people, it looks like the mountains. Some people it looks like the beach. Some people it looks like the desert. Some people it looks like a stream. It's just one of those things where you just sit there and you get to the point where you just say to yourself, you know what? It's going to be okay. Mm-hmm. It's going to be okay. I had somebody do this, and it's hanging up in my bathroom right now. I had somebody do this years ago. They told me to write on a Post-it note today, I give 100% today. And if I look at myself in the mirror and I can say I gave 100%, then nothing that went wrong today is my fault. If I look in the mirror and I say I only gave 80% today, then everything that went wrong is my fault. But the key is when I walk away from that mirror, my reflection is gone as well. That means it's written in history. It's done. I've learned from it.
That's awesome.
And if I find my peace in that, then I have a better chance of being 100% than I do of not. And that's why I do it, because at least I know I can say at the end of the day, you know what, I did everything I could have done.
That's awesome. So that really is, in your way, and then I see it for other people, is that you're releasing it. You're actually saying it out loud. You visualize it, and then you walk away with it because it's done for the day. It's done.
It's done.
That's
it's
done.
Written in history.
It's over with, and it's the next day, and then anything is possible, right?
And it doesn't matter how trivial it is. Like you just took your glasses and put them on your face. You can't change that in history. It happened already, right? So I can't. It's done. Like, why learn from it and move forward? Don't dwell on it because it's just going to eat. And
absolutely, yeah.
And finding that peace is good.
That's the main key is to be able to visualize. That's why I tell people to write things on Post-it notes, stick it on the wall, and say it out loud, and then close their eyes and imagine it's already happened, because it's a release. It's giving you some hope, or something. So the same thing what you just said is. I love that. I'm going to steal it from you. I'm so sorry.
No worries. Take it. Take it.
I'm taking your free gift. I'm sorry.
I make my client, every single one of my clients, I make them do that.
I like that. I like that a lot. I do. Okay. Next question.
Yes, ma'am.
If you have not gone through about yourself, why?
I have. I think speaking from why I didn't before, I didn't like what I saw.
Okay.
I did not like what I saw. Like, you have to, at some point, get to a point where you embrace it. And you go, this is me. Yeah. This is it. You cannot deny it. It's like we were just saying in the history part. It's there. It's happened. It's done. It's there. And you either can run from it or you can embrace it, one or the other. And the reason I didn't for so long, and what led me to attempting suicide, was I refuse to accept it. I refuse to accept it. It doesn't mean that I like it. It doesn't mean that I thought it was awesome. It is pure acceptance of it. That is it.
That's the honest to God truth. You said it. Are you sure you're not me? It's the man version of me, but I'm sitting there going, damn, this is like, is this the man? No, okay, so
it's difficult. I mean, it's really hard to literally sit there and go, I am okay with what I went through in my past. It again does not mean it's like having the open mind concept. You know, our parents, I'm sure, taught us the same, but you know, my parents said having an open mind doesn't mean you agree with somebody. It means you're willing to listen. That's the concept. If you have an open mind to it and you just say, you know what, it's who I am. It's what's made me who I am. I'm going to improve on it. I'm going to make it better. And I'm going to strive every day to be a little bit better. Just a little bit. You know, it's not, I'm trying to become, you know, Tony Robbins of the world or, you know, any one of these great people that we look up to. It's literally, I'm going to just little bits be better. You can't be better unless you know what you were. You can't.
And that's the truth. That's truth. And you have to accept the things that have happened and put them in a book or box or whatever you choose to, and leave them there.
Yeah.
Leave them there because they don't serve any purpose. The past is the past. You can recognize it when it may pop back up because it's just life. Recognize it for what it is and then let it go.
Yep. 100%.
Let it go. Got another question for you.
Sure.
Do you know your self-worth?
I do. Finally. And like I said, it came down to one of my really dear friends calling me during my attempt. And I don't share it with a whole lot of people, but I share it when I know that it's going to benefit. I mean, I have the semicolon tattooed on my wrist for a reason because, and it's on my right hand. It's right there on my wrist and it says IGY6 right behind it. So when I go to shake someone's hand, they can look down and they go, oh, he's got my back. You know, if I need to talk, I can talk because that's what he did. And my buddy called me. I attempted with 500 milligram extra strength Tylenols and half a bottle of Jameson. And I ended up puking my brains out for 2 straight days. I ingested charcoal. I kept putting charcoal down my throat to throw up. And it was truly the bottom, the end of the rope, the bottom of the well. But the thing is when you're at what you believe is the bottom, stop looking down. That's the bottom. You already know where it is. Look up. And it was a lot of therapy and a lot of coaching and a lot of people investing a lot of time of their lives into me in the right ways, not in the ways of here's the answer, because there is no there's the answer. Everybody's different. You know, you're different, I'm different. So my answer and your answer are 2 different things, but it was here's how you find your answers. And it came down to my therapist saying something incredibly impactful, which caused me to start seeing my self-worth. I was in my therapy session with her, and she is the kind of person I needed as a therapist. She was a tough human being.
That's what mine is.
Person. Like, call you out tough, right?
Oh, yeah. Oh,
yeah, where you're like...
She even cuss, and she's like, yeah. You're like, yeah.
And
maybe that's the same one.
She asked me, she goes, Josh, she goes, what do you believe? And I was like, what? And she goes, you're a Christian, right? And I was like, yeah. And she goes, what do you believe? And I just started saying stuff. And she goes, shut the fuck up. And I was like, I'm sorry, what? She goes, I didn't ask you what you fucking were taught. I asked you what you believe. And I was like, huh? And at the time, I was going through two therapy sessions a week. And that was on a Tuesday. And she goes, don't come back on Thursday. Come back next Tuesday when you have the answer.
Ooh.
I was 5 minutes into my session. She goes, I'm not even charging you for this one. Leave. Get out of my office. I was like, huh? Like, wait, we're supposed to talk and stuff. Like, I'm trying to divulge things and talk. But what it did was it broke what I was taught, because I was raised in a Leave It to Beaver family. My fiance calls it a Norman Rockwell family. That's what I was raised in. We loved each other. There were no drug issues. everybody got along. Extended family wanted to be around each other more than just holidays. Like we hung out all the time. Cousins, all of us were really good. We're really tight, really close, all that stuff. So I was raised in what was perfect as far as the American white picket fence dream aspect. But my mind, I didn't know who I was.
Mm-hmm.
I could not value myself. I could not have self-worth because I didn't know me. I know what I was taught, not what I believed.
Yeah.
And that's what changed a lot. And that's, again, that embrace your past. But then what are you? What do you stand on? If you were told, sit in this chair, tell me what you believe,
Mm-hmm.
and a gun was held to your head, and with the threat of death, you had to describe exactly what you believe, what you stand on, and what you will not waver from. What is that? And if you can't define that very, very well, if you can't define that, you need to find that. And when you find that, then you have your core and your base. And then from your core and your base, you then go, you know what? I am these things. I do believe this, because if your foundation isn't good, you're toast. You're toast. You're gonna, winds will come, life will come, things will happen, and you will fall right over.
Mm-hmm. So I know what your purpose is. Mm-hmm. I'll tell you in a minute.
Okay.
Let's get to another question.
Yes, ma'am.
I should probably just leave the freaking glasses on. How important are you to putting yourself first?
Number one. Because if I'm not good for me, then I'm not good for anyone else. My fiance, my future stepson, my kids, the people that are around me. If I'm not good for me, I'm not good for them. And you know when you're not good for you, because you've had those rough days and you're just like, you can't make phone calls, you can't talk to people.
Oh no.
So that's
a down for me.
Yeah. And it's a great little red flag that says, hey, heads up, let's focus on you for a second. So yeah, it is, and that is one of the hardest things I had to embrace, was me first.
It is.
It's a weird concept.
Put everybody else first, and then you're last, and you're like, well, really, me? And then you have guilt, tremendous guilt, because that might have been embedded in you, and then
you're. I mean, if you walk around, like I have a bag of Skittles sitting right here next to me at my desk, right? And if I give out a Skittle to every single person and I'm left with one, like, why did I buy the bag of Skittles?
Exactly.
I need to take a little bit so that I'm satisfied, so that I go, you know what? I'm good. Here, everybody, here's the rest of my Skittles. And the thing is I cannot feel guilty about not being able to give everyone Skittles.
Yeah.
There are millions and billions and billions of people in this world. I can't give everyone Skittles, but I can give the people around me that need them the most. I can give them to them. I can help them as much as I possibly can. And if I can't feel guilty about that.
Right. So you have to fill yourself up first before you can help anybody else.
100%.
100%. I love that. Skittles, man. Okay. Yeah, I'm going to the store later. So I got some homework to do. Okay. So I'm going to ask you, why does I am enough mean to you, and why?
I have used this analogy with every client I've ever had. If the world were come to an end, your family is gone, your kids, your spouse, your parents, your siblings, your friends, everyone is gone, and you're the one person left standing at the very, very tip top of the world. You're standing at the North Pole. Why did you change? Why did you do anything you did? Why? If I changed for me, then I changed for the right reasons. If I do for me, and I think about my meditation, my self-care, those kind of things, why did I do that? And the deeper one, after people start to realize that, the deeper thing that I then go to is like, okay, we talked about that. Let's revisit it. if you were to stand up there and look at yourself in the mirror, are you good enough? You're not perfect.
No.
No one is. There's these two people that screwed it up for all of us. Adam and Eve, man. God almighty. You know, even God told Eve, like, you're gonna have trouble in childbirth because you did this. Like, I mean, they messed it.
Sorry,
they messed it all up. They messed it all up,
and the rest of us have had,
and we got, and as humankind, we pay the consequence for it. But the key is, if I have given the 100%, knowing that I can't do that every day, knowing that I will fall short, accepting that I will fall short, is it good enough? Matthew McConaughey had a speech one time that has resonated with me for years. I keep it as a favorite video in my phone, on my computer, everywhere. And he was at, I think it was the Oscars. And he won an Oscar, and he said, you know, I want to thank my mom, who was sitting right there in front of him. I want to thank my family, et cetera, et cetera. He goes, but I want to tell you guys a story. And he said, when I was young, a guy came to me and he said, who do you want to be? And he goes, I didn't know the answer to that. And he goes, and I came back to him a couple of days later and I told him, I want to be me in 10 years. And 10 years later, the man came to him and he said, are you the man you want to be in 10 years? He goes, I'm not even close. And he goes, then who do you want to be? He goes, oh, I want to be the man in 10 years. And he goes, why? And he goes, because it gives me something to go up to, gives something for me to strive for, and it gives something for me to work on.
I love that.
And that's the thing. It's like, are you good enough? Yes. You are good enough. It does not mean that you accomplished sailing the world. It does not mean that you built the Eiffel Tower. It doesn't mean that you accomplished something magnanimous. I mean, people will sit there and go, well, I'm an IT guy and I'm nowhere close to Bill Gates or Steve Jobs. Like, yeah, you don't have to be. They did that's their path. That's what they did, not what you did. Be the best in what you do. Impact where you impact. And make that impact there. So it's not about accomplishments. It's I am good enough here, not the things I did.
Right. Yeah, I like that. Okay. What benefits does gratitude bring about and why?
The attitude, this is going to be a bad rhyme, the attitude of gratitude.
You know, it's put you on the spot. I told you, a little dark partial.
Yeah, for sure. The attitude of gratitude, and that is, it's a positive mindset. And positivity beats negativity every time. In the world, in existence, darkness exists naturally. Light requires effort. Darkness is there. The sun has to burn to create light. When you walk into a room, you have to turn on a light switch to create light. Darkness is already there. Choosing gratitude puts you in the mindset of turning on the light, of being positive, of bringing light to things. And as odd as it sounds to a lot of people, it's like, oh, I've gone through this hard time. I'm grateful for it. Why? You don't go to the gym and pick up 5-pound weights to get stronger. Yeah. You push yourself to a harder one. It's hard. It's not easy. If it was easy, dude, all of us would be freaking Arnold Schwarzenegger. You know, we'd all be ripped. We'd be huge. You'd be like, oh, we're all jacked. But it's not easy. It's not. And choosing to be grateful is not easy. But the benefits that it brings on the backside are far greater than choosing to be ungrateful, to be negative, to be down on things, and just go, you know what? I'm good with what I have. It allows you to get out of the mindset in your spiritual life, your emotional life, your physical life, your mental life of greed, and allows you to get into satisfaction and peace and calm. Peter was asked to walk out on the water by Jesus. He said, come here. What did Peter have to do? He had to do one thing, and that was have faith. He didn't have to trust Jesus. He had to have faith, which is blind trust. That is the act of falling. Like in the trust falls, remember when we were kids, you fell back off the table, right? Trust is knowing the table will hold you. Trust is knowing the people will catch you. Trust is knowing the PE teacher taught them how to do it. Faith is the act, because once you fall, there ain't no coming back.
Right.
But what he did was he started looking at everything around him, and it caused him to sink, as opposed to keeping his eye on the goal and his eye on Jesus at that time. And whether you're a Christian or you're a Buddhist or a Muslim, I don't care what you are, the concept's still the same as keeping your eye on that, and it keeps you focused and it keeps you honed in. Gratitude keeps you from looking at all the negative around you. And as much as it creeps in, you change that negative and you bring it over to the positive, and you go, you know what? I'm glad that happened, because if it hadn't happened, I wouldn't have learned this. I wouldn't have been stronger. I wouldn't have been this. Yeah. I mean, I went through chemo in 2020 and it sucked. It sucked. But what it did was it actually caused me to have deeper friendships with people. It actually caused me to relate to my father, who was going through it at the same time.
Oh, wow.
Those kind of things, right? And I could look at it and go, you know what? It messed up a lot of stuff physically for me. It caused this. It caused that. I could look at that. But being grateful for the things that came out of it makes those things pale. It doesn't mean they can't creep in a little bit. It doesn't mean they can't try to attack you, but it pushes their energy to the side, and it makes that pale in comparison.
I like that. I'm so sorry that you both went through that at the same time. That's a tough. I mean, I can relate to that one, because my dad was 4 months and then he was gone. So
attitude of gratitude on that one. My dad said he was going to beat cancer. He had stage 4 pancreatic cancer, was given 3 to 4 months to live at max, 3 to 4 weeks more than likely. He lived for 2 years and 2 months, which is in the 98th percentile.
That's huge. Oh,
doesn't happen. And when my dad passed, he passed in the hospital. And when my dad passed, cancer is not listed as his cause of death on his death certificate.
Really?
My dad beat cancer. He had a heart attack.
Oh, wow.
He had a heart attack. So when I look at it, I say, okay, my dad's passed.
Yeah, he beat cancer.
And he's gone, but he beat cancer, and he said he was going to do it, and he beat it.
So awesome. That's huge. My dad he was a doctor, worked up till a week before he died. 70 pounds, and the man's like, I'm still going in there to help those kids with the cleft palates. So, I commend him for that, but that 4 months was quick. But it's, I know where he is. Exactly. I'll see him again. It's the best thing about being a Christian is you know where everybody's going.
That's again, it's that gratitude. It's like,
you know what?
It'll be okay. It'll be okay.
It'll be okay. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. I got another question for you.
Okay. Go for it.
Okay. Have you let go of people in your life? Well, actually, it's backwards. Sorry. How do you increase your self-worth, and is your self-worth have a ceiling, and why?
No, it doesn't have a ceiling.
Okay.
Because the big man upstairs doesn't have a ceiling on it either.
Good. I like that.
And if he's in me, then I can't have a ceiling on it. I mean, we put the higher belief and higher being in a box all the time.
Yeah.
We do. If the world was the size of a golf ball, the sun would be 25 feet across.
Wow.
And if we moved an inch closer, an inch further away, the way we sit right now, we would burn up or freeze to death. And the sun is one of the smallest stars in our galaxy, and one of the millions of galaxies that we know of in the universe. And yet God says, I know every sparrow that falls to the earth, and I know every hair that's on your head. I can't put him in a box like that anymore. I used to. And God just sitting there going, dude, man, like, bruh, like, But the thing is God gave us free will. He allows us to do that.
Yes.
But he's sitting there just like a
Oh, yeah.
parent does with their kid going, my God, you could do so much better. Like, what's wrong with you?
When I die, I'm going to be sitting in a chair, because there's going to be a few things I don't recall from my 20s and go, yeah, oh, yeah, I probably did do that. It's going to be a while.
My bad.
Yeah, my bad. But guess what? I know where I'm going. It's a beautiful place. And, I look at everybody's religion and except for the devil thing, as you pray the way you need to pray,
Yeah.
And be who you need to be.
Yep.
So, okay, so now the part that I started to ask you.
Yeah.
Have you let go of people in your life because your self-worth, and why?
Yeah, 100%. I believe there's 3 types of people in the world. There are the cancers, the leeches. There are the lukewarm people. And then there's the givers and the takers. And you want the givers and takers in your life. Because the givers and the takers are the type of friends that if you're in a bad way or you need help, they'll come help you, and you go help them when they need help. And there is no tally. There is no, I did this for you, you did this for me. There is no worth on the tally. Like, oh, I helped you move your house, but you helped me mow my lawn. It's just, you helped, right? And those are the people you want to surround yourself with.
Right.
Then you have the lukewarm people, and those are the people where you go to move and they're like, oh, you know what? I don't know if I have plans or not. And they're kind of like wishy-washy, and they may be there, but they may not. And they're just kind of like, they decide how busy they're going to be.
Yeah. Oh, look, they showed up. What time was it? I got like 30 minutes left, but hey,
Yeah, exactly. Or they do the, I need help around the yard, and they're like, what do you need done? And they don't just show up and do what needs to be done, And don't get me wrong. It's like, I tell people all the time, like, one of the most overused words in our culture right now because of social media and whatnot is the word narcissist. Narcissist is so highly overused. And the reason for that is narcissists do exist, but they're like great white sharks. You don't see them very often. It takes a lot to become a narcissist. Now, are there manipulators? Are there controllers? Are there abusers? Are there gaslighters? Yes. But a narcissist, you have to be all those things and then enjoy the pain that you're giving to someone. Like you feed on that. So it takes a lot to become that, right? We all can have narcissistic tendencies at times. We all have done that. But it doesn't mean we are a narcissist. You just have a narcissistic tendency. It's like, I don't speed when I drive, but I can guarantee you I've sped before. Like it happens, right? It's kind of the same concept. That's where those middle people lie. They're kind of like here or there. They're not really contributing a lot to your life. They're not really taking a lot. They're just kind of there. And then you have the leeches, and those are the people that are pulling from you, taking. And what happens when a leech uses up its host? It moves to a different host. When cancer uses up its host, the host dies and it moves on. It's the same concept. It just uses and uses until it's used up. Those people you have to cut out of your life. You have to. Now, people will go through those times in their lives where they are taking, but you look at the situation and go, you know what? They're going through a divorce. They're going through cancer. They're going through a sickness or whatever, and they can't really contribute back. But the first people are the ones that are giving into your love bank. You have a bank of love. They're giving to you. They're taking withdrawals. They're doing deposits. They're taking withdrawals. The other people are just taking withdrawals until the account runs negative. When the account runs negative, the bank kills your account. They say, you can't bank with us anymore. That's what you have to do to those people. You say, you know what? No more of this. No more. I am not allowing this to happen. Can you have one in your life? Maybe, where you look at them and you go, you know what? I see the good in you. You can get better. I'm going to help you. But you cannot be too close to them because they will latch on and they will just suck. And you have to create hard boundaries with them. You have to draw real hard lines with them and go, you know what? If this conversation is going to go this way, we don't talk about it anymore. If you're going to do this, we don't do that. You have to draw hard lines. So yeah, I've cut a lot of those people out of my life. And some of them have hurt. Some of them have hurt because I thought they were close. They were close because they were leeching on me. They were stuck on me. That's why they were close. You pull a leech off, it's going to be painful.
Yeah.
But you've got to, and you just go, you know what? Nope. and you toss them to the side. And unfortunately, I think maybe one or two of those people have ever come back into my life, and they've come back as a different person. But to cut 50, 60, 70 people out of your life, I don't know the number, but to cut that many out of your life and then to lose them kind of tells you that they're staying the same.
Yeah.
And that's sad.
It is.
The lukewarm people, you don't necessarily cut out. You just keep it kind of arm's length. You just go, you know what?
Yeah.
They're acquaintances.
Mm-hmm.
Friends are that first one.
Mm.
They're willing to take that direction. They're willing to take that, you're messing up. They're willing to tell you you're messing up.
Mm.
But that, again, is a give and a take. They're helping you be better, and you're helping them.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Well, I appreciate you answering all my questions. So
yeah, for sure.
I would love for you to talk about your business, and so other people can hear about it.
Yeah, for sure. So I do a lot of relationship coaching. And a lot of it, when I say relationship coaching, it doesn't necessarily mean you're in a relationship. Mm-hmm. When you're in a relationship, I encourage strongly couples, whether you're dating, whether you're engaged, or whether you're married, to do it together. It is not a separate thing. It can be done separately, and that can happen. I have some clients that are that way because the other person is so adamant against it, or they're resistant against it. It's not ready. I'm a huge believer in people are like apples. The way you harvest apples is you shake a tree. Ripe apples fall to the ground. And they have these big shakers, and they go along like that, and the apples fall, and they pick the apples up, and there's the ones that are ripe. If they don't fall, they're not. If you can walk up to an apple and basically tap an apple and it falls in your hand, that's a ripe apple. If you don't, then you have to let it pass. And if a person's not ready, they're not going to be accepting of anything that's said. It can be very resistant, and it makes it very difficult. I don't force people into, okay, you've got to do X, Y, Z for so long. It's when you're ready, you're ready. You know that better than I do. So the way I operate is I do 10 session blocks. You purchase 10 blocks at a time because when it starts to get tough at week 2, 3, or 4, and you want to give up, you've invested money and time into not giving up. And it kind of forces you into, okay, man, I really don't want to waste that because that got really expensive. I'm also a big believer in keeping it accessible to people. My stuff is not expensive. A 10 block is $350. Oh, that's $35 a session.
Oh, wow.
That's a
good price.
Because people need it. And unfortunately, in today's world, take economy aside from this, because this is the way I've been this whole time for the last, since 2019. The people that tend to need it the most are the people that are in the roughest spot financially.
Yeah.
And they've unfortunately, a lot of my clients are female, and they've been kicked out of a house. They're going through a divorce. They have literally, given up everything to be with someone, and they're having to get themselves back on their feet. That person controlled them or manipulated them and said, "Oh, you don't need to work." That way they could keep them locked in. So financially it's tight. So that's why I do that, to give that opportunity for people. But within the relationship coaching itself, the whole idea is to help build yourself back up, to be strong again, to think strong again, to believe strong again, and to know strong again. Because thinking, believing, and knowing are 3 very different things. And working on that and developing healthy ways to go about dating again, or being in the relationship that they're in, repairing the relationship that they're in, or repairing themselves to be ready for the next relationship. The crazy part about it is my parents were married for 47 years before my dad passed. And I asked my dad, I was like, how are you guys so good at this? How? Because coming from a couple of divorces and things like that, like how how are you guys? And the response was really incredible. If you have a car, you change the oil in your car. You put windshield wiper fluid in. You put power steering fluid in. You check the levels. You wash your car so that you don't have to do major work.
Mm-hmm.
A relationship is about maintenance. It's not about work.
Mm-hmm. I like that.
It's about maintaining, because then when the work has to come and you got to replace the engine or replace the transmission, you're equipped to do it.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like, oh man, that's going to be rough, but we got this, as opposed to catastrophic failure.
Oh yeah.
And just, oh my God. So the whole idea around relationship coaching is to develop tools so that if you get in a relationship and you've invested yourself in that relationship and it doesn't go the way that you wanted it to, it doesn't go the positive route of, okay, we're going to get married and things like that, and you've invested yourself love and energy and time and effort, that you have the tools to help rebuild yourself up again. Because let's be real, if you're going to get in a relationship and you're only going to give 75% because you're worried if you give 100 it's going to hurt worse, you failed yourself and them.
Yeah.
You have to give 100%. So it's going to hurt if you get out of it. It is going to hurt. You have feelings for a reason. If your feelings aren't hurt, that means you have no conscience. And now I'm really worried. Now you need to talk to somebody way above me about that, you know?
Yeah.
But that's the whole idea around it, is to help people build themselves back up, male or female, and help build themselves back up, build that self-worth, that self-value, to realize that if you're in a DV situation or SA situation, if you are verbally, mentally, emotionally, physically abused, whatever it is, that to accept the fact that you may have had 1% wrong in that, but that 99% that other person did is on them. It's not on you. And it's, oh, I don't know what I did. I hate that. I get so many comments on my social media. This person left me. I don't know what I did wrong. I'm like, okay, let's identify possible things that you could have done wrong. Like for me, I was emotionally, in my relationships, I was emotionally stone. I was like granite. You know, that was wrong. Now, them cheating, that's not on me, right? Or them abusing is not on me, or them sexual assault is not on me. That's their choice. And accepting the fact that it was their choice, because a lot of people can't even accept that, because they've been beat down so much that that person has convinced them that the reason that they beat them or verbally abused them or mentally or emotionally abused them is because they did something wrong. And it's like, whoa, bro, like, pump the hate brakes there, Fox and Friends. That's not on you. You know, that's them. We're going to recover from it. And all too often, and this is the hard part, and what, unfortunately, I guess it could be called sadistic. The part that I love so much about what I do is actually exposing the wound again, because all too often we self-heal and self-medicate and things like that, right? Whether it's through alcohol or through substances or through life in general, helping that person uncover that wound, exposing that wound. Because if you got a really deep cut and you need to go to the hospital and get stitches, and you try to treat it yourself, it's going to get infected. It's not going to heal properly. You're going to have permanent damage. With this, it's uncovering that, pulling that back, cleaning it out, which hurts. It hurts. But you start to see this like realization, and you start to see an enlightenment, and start to see this, oh, and then getting the stitches and healing it and putting the Band-Aids on it and dressing the wound repeatedly and repeatedly and repeatedly so that it heals properly. So then it just becomes a scar. It's no longer painful. It is a memory, but it's no longer a painful memory. It's like, oh yeah, I remember I cut myself there that one time. It's okay. It's all right. It's not the end of the world. It's going to be all right. You know, that's the goal. And that's what I love to help people realize, because you realize that you're not broken anymore. You're damaged, and damaged is beautiful. Broken is leaving the pieces on the floor. Damaged is picking them up like they do in Japan and painting them with the gold paint and putting the cup back together. And the cup is 1,000 times more valuable with the gold cracks that have been painted than it ever was laying on the floor. You're no longer broken. You're damaged, and everybody's damaged. It's okay to be damaged. It's beautiful to be damaged because those scars are what make you who you are. It's beautiful embracing that because your value is 1,000 times more than that $1 little coffee mug on the floor, or that teacup on the floor. Now you're worth thousands upon thousands of dollars at an auction because you picked yourself up and you fixed those things. And helping people realize that, that's what I love to help people with, because then you just see this strength and this light come back in their lives. And that's one of the best things you can help somebody do, because I can't fix them. They have to fix themselves.
You back? I think I lost you for a second. You froze.
Oh, there we go. Yeah.
I was like, maybe I need to turn some stuff off. We're done. No,
and that's it. Mic drop.
And that was it. He said mic drop, and it was it. It was like, now I'm out of here. Thank you very much for your time. I talked about my business. We're good. Well, the awesome thing that I see from what you've spoken about, especially your business, is, and I was going to bring up your purpose. The fact that you give so much is a purpose. And that's a beautiful thing, is to be able to give back and to look at people at that level and say they're human and they need help. And some of what I've been through is a gift in one way to help, even if it's just one person, move forward in their life, and to be able to see that they're important and they're worthy and they're loved and they can do so many things, and to find some happiness, that's my biggest thing. Is my movement, my journey, which I'm on. And boy, I think if I already had a therapy session with you, give you $35 anyway, because it's like hearing those things resonate with me, and if it can resonate with other people, that's huge, and that's giving, and that's your purpose. And I really do appreciate you coming.
Thank you.
On my podcast, and
absolutely,
and spending time with me out of your day. And you can go back and meditate. I think you're meditating before.
No, I have. I was just electronically shooting people on a video game. That's all I was doing.
You're what? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to stop it, and I'll edit this part, and then I'll let